Donald Trump has no respect for black people. He has no respect for black leadership. And he is consistently targeting black leadership. Remember 2020 when he complained about losing, the election was rigged? There were 4 cities he kept bringing up: Atlanta, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Milwaukee. What do those 4 cities have in common? Black people. Donald Trump is always talking about Chicago. Chicago. He has one of his Trump Towers hotels in Chicago. But let's be clear, he doesn't give a damn about Chicago. He uses Chicago as a whipping boy for whatever he wants to do. And that's what the right does. Talk to any white conservative or even the help like Philip from Indiana. Oh, by the way, that Negro was appointed executive director of the Civil Rights Commission in Indiana. So my producer sent me the Facebook link, and I responded saying, "Oh, you got a witness protection, huh?" See, they love talking about Chicago. They love bringing up Chicago. They love to it's always Chicago. And I told y'all the story when I was at one of those meetings with Trump with TV anchors, and he was like, well, Ron was in my office, and he told me to deal with crime in Chicago. We got to deal with economics and poverty and education. He was like, no, Ron, you're not getting this right. And I was like, no, actually, he is right. Now, Rahm Emanuel ain't there. Brandon Johnson is now the mayor, and he's been saying the exact same thing. And if you actually talk to any police chief, and I've actually asked the question to many of them, they will tell you that more cops on the street does not equate to a drop in crime. Mayor Johnson joins us right now. Mayor, glad to be with you right now. Glad to have you here. You were on MSNBC, and Joe Scarborough was asking you over and over and over again, oh, Mayor, I agree with you about all those other different things, but wouldn't it be helpful to have 5,000 cops on the street? And I saw that clip because I don't watch that show. It's been 10 years since they had me on because I was just way too mouthy for them. That's what happens when you're an uppity Negro to them. And the thing is, I saw the clip and I said, well, hell, I'm sure the mayor would say, can I have 5,000 jobs for youth? Can I have 5,000 new affordable housing units? And see, we want to talk about more cops, more cops, more cops. But even cops will tell you that does not fix the crime issue, Mayor.
No, you're absolutely right, Roland, and thanks for having me back. I appreciate, the consciousness that you are elevating across this country. And what we've said repeatedly, that policing alone is not going to drive safe and affordable cities. And I've expressed this on multiple occasions. In the 90s when I was in high school, where the murder rate was as high as 900 and sometimes above 900. We had 2,000 to 3,000 more police officers at that time. And so there's no correlation between the number of police officers and violence. But what we do know, there is a direct correlation between poverty and trauma and violence. And, we have a president that has declared war on poor people. And as you know so well, and you eloquently express all the time, that's one of the 3 evils that Dr. King provided a warning to this country, that if we don't address those 3 evils, racism, of course, being one of them, militarism, of course, being one of them, and then poverty, right? And so what I've done in the city of Chicago is I've worked hard to make sure that the neighborhoods that have been most impacted by violence, that are also the same neighborhoods where schools have been closed, where the lack of access to health care and good paying jobs. And so what did I do when I took office? One, we made sure that we revamped our detectives division, where we promoted 200 more detectives to make sure that we're actually solving violence in Chicago. One of the things that I've heard repeatedly that's quite frustrating for families is one thing to lose your loved one to violence or to end up being having violent experiences. It's another thing when you don't solve the crime. And so because we revamped our entire detectives division, we have seen a clearance rate of 76%, almost 77%, the highest it's ever been in a decade. But where we really put our investments towards was youth employment, 31,119 summer jobs. I live on the west side of Chicago in Austin. I know you're familiar with Chicago and the neighborhoods here in Austin, one of the tougher neighborhoods because of disinvestment. We saw some of the greatest declines in Austin, but we also saw the highest proportion of young people with summer youth jobs, right? So we've increased that by almost 50%, but we've also expanded mental and behavioral health care services, reopened 3 mental health clinics, the first mayor since Mayor Harold Washington to invest in mental health clinics, but we've also have expanded mental health services.
Wait. You said the first mayor since Harold Washington. Harold Washington died in 1987.
That's correct.
That's 38. That's 38 years ago.
Yeah. Now we're talking about severe disinvestment. When Mayor Harold Washington died, there were 19 mental health clinics. When I took office, there were barely 6. And so we've also expanded mental and behavioral health care services around the city so that when people are experiencing mental health crises, you have a paid professional, behavioral health professional that shows up to those crises and not a police officer. And that frees up our law enforcement to respond to the other critical needs. But there was something else that we did. We are stabilizing our communities by repopulating these neighborhoods with affordable units. We're on pace to build nearly 10,000. We're focusing, by the end of my first term, we're focusing on the west and south sides of Chicago where, as I've called it, the Negro Removal Act has been in full effect, where Black folks have been pushed out of the very communities that, have historically been stabilizing neighborhoods for the working class, right? And so here's what we've experienced as a result of that: a 32% reduction in homicides, almost 40% reduction in shootings and shooting victims, 35% reduction in robberies, our carjackings, that has declined significantly. Now, look, the last thing that I'll say on this, we have a lot of work to do. Don't misunderstand me, but we are moving in the right direction as we build safe and affordable communities across Chicago. And the way we're doing that is by investing in people. So policing and the critical investments that ultimately get at the root causes of violence, that's how we've been able to experience this progress in my first 2 years in office.
I saw the news conference the other day with Governor Pritzker. You spoke, Father Flager, and others as well. And Trump's desire to send the National Guards, like, I wish they would call. And what's interesting is, and this is why I really despise these national media outlets. And in fact, I want to play this. You keep getting, now guys, get this queued up. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You got some MAGA folk in the media in Chicago who keeps trying to antagonize you. And they throw these questions out. And you try your best not to have to deal with their nonsense. I saw this earlier today. Go ahead and play it, and I want to talk about it. Go.
I'm wondering if you have any concerns that all of this pushback against Trump, knowing how he responds to that, if it might kind of be like poking the bear, if you will, and could make things worse and could actually provoke him to follow through with this talk about sending in the National Guard when yesterday he seemed to waffle. Could this make things worse, all this pushback?
Standing in unity is actually what's necessary when you're fighting against tyranny. I mean, could you imagine if as a descendant of slaves, if my ancestors would have had that same rationale? Let's not fight against the Confederacy. Let's just try to get along, and then maybe one day they'll give us our freedom. Nowhere in the history of America or the world where marginalized people have sat silent and idle, and they've been able to actually achieve justice and liberation. The fact that you have a unified front in Chicago where we are rejecting the occupation by the military of our cities, that's actually fighting for our democracy. That's what's required in this moment. Leading in this moment takes a great deal of courage, but we stand on the shoulders of so many people that have come before us. We have seen these type of tyrannical acts before. One thing that we know for sure, when we fight back against tyranny, the people united will always prevail.
Mayor, basically they're like, well, Mayor, why don't you just give up? Why don't you just shut up, be quiet, and take it? That's literally what they're asking you to do, as if you were not elected by the people, As if the alderman, at least as it's the governor. That's what's crazy. Oh, just let the wannabe dictator be a dictator and shh. You just need to be quiet.
You know, Roland, first of all, I wish I could just have you around when these, asinine questions are put before me because, look, we have to maintain a certain level of decorum, even if others don't play by those same rules. But one thing that I know for sure, that in every instance, when the people have spoken with conviction and truth and have come together to display that collective power, we are always better off having fought back against, these, again, as I described them, the tyrannical reign of this administration. And here's the thing, man, we are part of a rich history in this country. And because you know Chicago so well, when Dr. King, came to the city of Chicago, he set up his family on the west side in North Lawndale, fighting for fair housing, right? And something that he did experience here in Chicago was something that he said he hadn't experienced anywhere else in the country. But he was very clear that if we're able to do it right in Chicago, we can take that around the country.
Yeah, he actually literally said in the book, it was quoted in Fire on the Prairie, he said, man, if we could convince the Chicago Negro, we could convince every Negro in America.
Yeah, I mean, I do always like your Roland Martinisms to be able to really capture the essence of what he was getting at. And so when I heard that question, I thought about those very words. And we are convinced in Chicago that we can build safe and affordable communities. And, a militarized forces and an occupation of our city, that is not how you build communities. That is not how you feed and put food in the mouths of people. That's not how we, restore our public education system that works for everyone. That's not how you, drive down unemployment. And so, yes, it's coming upon us in this moment to recognize that this is the season that is upon us, that it's our turn, essentially, to do the work for posterity. And, this is the city, of course, that said, keep hope alive, right? Where Reverend Jackson opened up opportunities for mayors to win across this country. It made it possible for us to say, yes, we can. I mean, where Ida B. Wells and her literature and her writings begin to tell the story of how these egregious acts of brutality are harming our brothers and sisters. And so that is the spirit in which I lead with, that those individuals made it possible for a working class, middle child, former public school teacher, and union organizer to be in this position of power. And here's the thing that's actually comforting for me. I know we're not alone, though, Roland. Brandon Scott, the work that he's doing in Baltimore, that's driving violence down in the city of Chicago. Randall Woodfin, Mayor Woodfin in Birmingham, is going to get another term. And the work that he's doing that's very community focused. And of course, our two sisters in California, Mayor Barbara Lee and Mayor Karen Bass, to the point that you made earlier, you're seeing Black mayors all over the country invest in our communities, right? And we're seeing the returns of those investments. And I wish I could go, a little bit further, Roland, because today I got a report from my chancellor of our community colleges. And he talked about how enrollment is up in our community colleges. And the number one subgroup that's enrolling in our community colleges are young Black men.
Wow.
Young Black men, right? And you have Latina men who are coming in second. And so people are inspired in this city because we're creating jobs where you have billions of new dollars of investment that's creating hundreds of thousands of construction jobs. We're building affordable homes with a program called the Missing Middle, where we have owner-occupied units that we're building. And this is going to allow generational wealth to be created as we have developers that are building multi-units that they live in and rent to other people to. And the 6 developers that are moving forward with this new program, 5 of them are Black, 3 of them are Black women. These are the investments that people expected me to make when I made a commitment to serve this city. And regardless of what's coming from the federal government, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that our people experience the wholeness of what government has to offer to live vibrant and healthy lives.
Well, I'm very familiar with City College of Chicago. My wife was a vice president at Kennedy King College when we lived there, and my man Wayne when he led it. So I know it very well. Last question for you. You talked about those stats 2 days ago. You dropped this press release. Go to my iPad, and again. Violent crime overall down 21.6%, homicides down 32.3%, overall shooting incidents down 37.4%, multi-victim shooting incidents 44.6%, robberies 31.9%, vehicular hijack is down 49%, aggravated assault 18.1%. It would be different if the thug in chief, because I don't call him president because he's not earned my respect for that title. Matter of fact, when I was in one of those anchor meetings, I couldn't even say the name president because it was just too disrespectful. But that's neither here nor there. It would be different if he came to you or the governor and said, amazing job you're doing. How can we double those numbers? What would you suggest? What do you need from us to actually do this? Instead, what you have is someone who wants to use brute force, who wants to shame, ridicule, trash you, trash the governor, trash Democrats. He's literally said he hates Democrats, but this is somebody who's supposed to represent all people. So it has to be unsettling, especially also to watch a Republican Party that supposedly doesn't like big government, that supposedly loves local control, except when it's black people leading and when it's Democrats leading.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, when I taught 7th and 8th grade social studies and taught the Constitution, the Bill of Rights makes it very clear about, state autonomy. And this is something that the Republican Party and conservatives has heralded as, quintessential to their value system. And they totally are moving in an opposite direction. And in fact, what he's proposing is the antithesis to, what it means to have the type of local control and involvement. We would welcome that conversation, Roland. And one of the things that he could do right away is restore the over $800 million that he, stole from community violence intervention workers, a program that has been successful all over the country. He would restore Medicaid. He would restore SNAP. He would, stop defunding our public schools, right? He would help us build more affordable housing units. And here's the part that's actually really disappointing, is that my police department has collaborated with the federal government to remove guns off the streets of Chicago. Roland, we removed over 150 guns just a couple of weeks ago off the streets of Chicago that had been trafficked in from Mississippi and Indiana. You know what I'm getting at?
Yep.
Right. And so, there's coordination that could be done, but he hasn't expressed any interest in doing that. That's why it's very clear he's not committed to working people. He's not committed to solving the challenges that we're experiencing.
Nope.
And again, presidents used to declare war on poverty. This president has declared war on poor people. But in the city of Chicago, we're going to continue to invest in people. And my vision is to build the safest, most affordable big city in America. And we're doing that in Chicago.
Well, Mayor, we appreciate that. Again, it's great to see those crime numbers down. I lived there. I remember I remember the shootings and the people who were protesting and who were crying and who were the funerals and things along those lines. And the job that you're doing, the job that Mayor Scott is doing in Baltimore should be commended and praised and not be attacked as well. And let me also thank you again. When I did my show last week from Chicago O'Hare Airport,
don't mention it.
I was just trying. No, we good. But but here's the deal. Several of the officers came by and some other United people, and they said, "Man, we watched the show, brother. We appreciate it." And they hung with me until I packed up all my stuff. We all good. So again, I appreciate that. Thank you so very much.
Hey, man, look, Chicago, I know, you're proud, Houstonite, but, man, Chicago loves you. We appreciate the work that you've done here and the work that you're doing for our country. I really do. Mad respect for you, Roland, man. Appreciate you, brother. Love you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Take care.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase Right now, it's $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.